What if I told you that your land could become an omniscience? Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another legacy video. I'm going to talk a little quiet today. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so bump up the volume a little bit on your TV if you need to. Liam sent me a rather interesting idea. The idea of making a hybrid deck that is a show and tell deck list to put in your giant creatures or your omniscience or whatever. Or if that didn't work, you would just reanimate them from the graveyard with Shifting Woodland. It's a awkward, wastelandable, sometimes ETB tapped land, but its delirium ability is really strong. So for 4 mana, you can have it be a copy of target permanent in your graveyard until end of turn. But you can only activate it if you have 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. So there's a couple of different puzzles to solve here. Biggest one being the Delirium. In a generic blue deck in Legacy, instant sorcery land are really easy to get, and the 4th type you have to work for. And that's why you see a lot of decks that have Dragon's Rage Channeler going to things like Baubles to get that extra type into the graveyard. We're going to need to do something like that here in order to enable Delirium. And the other thing we're going to need to solve is how do we get something unfair into the graveyard? And traditionally, the answer to that question is something like Entomb that just tutors it directly there. But we don't really want to go into another color. So let's take a look at the deck list. This is my updated version of Liam's deck list. Let's, I guess, make those arts match real quick. I say as I have non-batching Atraxas and head mages. Alright, I've cared as much as I'm going to care. So there's a couple of neat cards going on here. The first one I want to highlight is something that you actually might see more generically in a blue-green show-and-tell list of some kind, Planar Genesis. It is very similar to Impulse in that you get to look at the top 4 and grab a card, but the difference here is if you grab a land, you can put that onto the battlefield tapped. Now, in a deck that wants the Impulse effect anyway and has upsides for it snagging a land, sounds good. One of my worries about the deck is that a bunch of the lands don't actually cast cantrips. So Liam's original build had 18 lands. I have bumped up to 19 to kind of help out with that fact. I have added another hedge maze to the list. I think Surveil is a fantastic way to go and get extra cards into graveyard. And Liam's original plan was actually Vantress Gargoyle. This is a little bit of an embarrassing card by Legacy standards. It is incredibly awkward when you compare it to the other 2-mana blue flyer, Murktide Regent. It's just not as good. And there's an awkward thing that can happen. So you tap this to have each player mill a card, and the idea is that this gets you to your Delirium, and I added Mishra's Bauble to the deck list, and we can kind of use that with Vantress Gargoyle to kind of select for some stuff, and that'll work with our other cantrips too. But there is this fringe thing that can happen, and I'm going to talk about it in advance, so when I scream about it on camera, we all know it's coming. If we should happen to mill Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, then we are going to shuffle our graveyard back into our library and undo everything that we have done with Shifting Woodland. Now, Shifting Woodland basically is hoping to hit one of these 6 cards, which is not the best in terms of probability. I added a second Atraxa to the deck list to help out with that. But just in terms of raw math, to make Shifting Woodland good, we basically need our opponent to either make us discard one of those 6 cards, or we need to have Vantress Gargoyle and hit one of those 6 cards with the mill ability. And then we also need to have Shifting Woodland on top of that, and we need to have another green land and at least 2 mana on top of that. I say at least because the Shifting Woodland can absolutely tap for itself if you want to turn it into an Omniscience, meaning that you need 3 other lands, or rather 3 other mana if you have Ancient Tomb. But if we want to turn it into an Atraxa and have it attack, well, then we do need to leave this untapped, meaning that we need green, green 2 from other mana sources. So between the cantrips not being castable off these lands and these entering tapped sometimes and the requirements for actually making it happen work, I don't know if we're going to line this up very many times today, but you know, the whole point of this channel is like, hey idiot, try it, see if it works, right? And sometimes the things aren't going to work and sometimes they are. And this is an interesting plan B. Is it a good plan B? Well, let's go find out. In all fairness to the plan, though, we can technically 4-turn clock someone with Vantress Gargoyle. It can't attack unless the defending player has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. In current Legacy, where Murktide Regents exist to shrink graveyards, Psychic Frogs exist to shrink graveyards, this does feel like an awkward threat, but it is probably a pretty respectable blocker early on, as most of our cards are going to cantrip and replace themselves, so we're not going to go down on cards in hand all that often other than playing lands. Now, to fit in Mishra's Bauble and actually turn on the Delirium ability of Shifting Woodland, I did have to kind of bump some things to the sideboard that would normally be in the main deck. So we are going to be a little bit worse at protecting our combo than a traditional list would be. So our idea is going to be like, all right, we're going to shove. If it doesn't work, you know, we will go to plan B or plan C, or we'll just kind of cantrip and try again. Yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into a league here, folks. If you end up needing some Magic cards, please consider checking out TOAMagic.com. Tales of Adventure is my sponsor. They have treated me very well. If you are a part of the Legacy community, you probably know them. They have awesome old cards, so you need your Legacy or Vintage staples, check them out. And they've also got 95% of standard stuff in stock at any given time, which I can't say about a lot of other online retailers. Use promo code ThrabenU when you do, and you'll save 5% on your order. Let's battle. Lorien Revealed is such a good card in this deck, and we will probably see it be great throughout this league, but it is awkward here where it does not represent an initial mana source, unfortunately. And this is an actively good hand. So I'm going to get rid of a Brainstorm rather than a Shifting Woodland, I think. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just start on a basic island so I don't get wastelanded in the first turn cycle here. Those aren't what I'm looking for. It's not like they're the worst, but I will just shuffle. Hunting Wish is okay. Opponent also a Bauble gamer. So this is feeling like the play patterns of something in the Delver wheelhouse, like a DRC deck of some kind. That's fine. So now this turn, I can cast a Ponder, and I can kind of manipulate that with Hedge Maze a little bit, assuming that's how I want to do this. I think I'm like A-okay casting a Dazeable Ponder here to kind of bait out the Daze. Force of Will is not a bad draw against a blue deck, but I don't have my thing to put in off Show and Tell yet. I think I will shuffle. Hey, my thing to put in off Show and Tell. I'm going to surveil and see if I can like find a Force of Will randomly now. Cool. That was lucky. So because I didn't play Misty Rainforest to like fetch a forest or another island though, like this is wastelandable in this turn cycle, so I could definitely get slowed down a little bit. I do have a second surveil land if that does happen. There's the DRC that I already predicted. So, are we jamming? This is a forest for the purposes of this. I can wait one turn to turn off Daze specifically. I think I am willing to do that. Like, I am not getting clocked that hard here. I could actually even cast Cunning Wish and turn that into Flusterstorm and feel pretty good about that. And then any blue card that I draw gives me another layer of protection. Sure. At this point, I'm already wastelandable. So let's Cunning Wish. Or I guess I can turn it into Veil of Summer. That's even better here. I can cast it first. Alright, there is a Daze. That will counter my spell. If I draw any blue card, I shove Show and Tell. If I don't, I just wait a turn. Yeah, I think we're fine waiting. But just something to note in terms of Shifting Woodland here is that I have the ability to activate this next turn, but I clearly have nothing in my graveyard to copy. Ponder, Flips Delver. We have instant sorcery artifact in graveyard. If fetch land means I take 6. Alright, no shuffle with the Ponder. I'm taking 6. I can wait one more turn to attempt to draw a new blue card for Force of Will. If not, I just have to shove Show and Tell and hope for the best, and I fully don't expect it to work at this point. I do have to worry about some things like Bolt happening. I can't counter that. I need to win this game in an unfair fashion. So I need Atraxa to stabilize this board, and this is where I will draw a Bauble to punish my choice of putting colorless cards into deck. No, it is an Omniscience, which is not a particularly powerful card on this exact board. So let's Show and Tell. There's Force of Negation. You got it. I'll now Force of Will, and we beat the soft counters. I do not beat another hard counter. That is 2 different hard counters, and there was a soft counter as well. So we are dead on board to combat damage, unfortunately. GG's. So Veil of Summer is probably the big thing that I want for this matchup. To put the Veil of Summers in the sideboard, I cut some Carpet of Flowers that normally might slot into this deck here. And I'm probably going down some amount of Planar Genesis or Mishra's Bauble to fit in those Veil of Summers. I'm going to go with Mishra's Bauble. This makes the plan B a little bit worse, or rather the plan C a little bit worse, but my opponent is a Wasteland deck anyway, so it's not like that's going to be the most reliable plan. This looks like a perfectly reasonable hand. I'm going to keep that. We can Intuition for Show and Tell. That's perfectly reasonable as long as my opponent doesn't surgically extract the copies that end up in the graveyard. So let's go ahead and start with a Ponder. Those are some cards. I think I am interested in at least 2 of those. I think we're good with this. So the earlier my opponent plays a threat, the scarier it is for me. I think I am going to start with the early Intuition. No end of turn play from my opponent or anything. Brainstorm's fine. Ooh, we do have the Wasteland. I don't love seeing that. So I will Intuition in response, but I don't know that I Force of Will to protect this if this just like eats a Daze or something here. My hope is that this resolves so that I don't have to draw the Shifting Woodland that's on top of my library. Like, I can draw it, and it's okay, but it might get a little awkward. Alright. Now I can just brainstorm to put it back if I don't like it. I don't need to play around Daze right now. That is a lot of Omniscience. I guess I am going to put 2 of those back, keep the Shifting Woodland. I think I'm going to Bauble, see what's going on over there, and then Surveil land to set up my Bauble draw. Okay, just a land. That's fine. Edge Maze. Lorien Revealed is not currently exciting. I will just go ahead and put that into my graveyard. So we need to find a Show and Tell. That's not a Show and Tell. What am I doing on Delirium? Land, instant sorcery artifact. I'm good in that regard, but I don't have anything cool in the graveyard to copy. I'm very happy not seeing a threat in play. I've already talked about how Lorien Revealed is not really what I am looking for right now. So, I think we will Island Cycle that, turn it into the second Hedge Maze, and use that to help select for a new cantrip. Cunning Wish. There, like an Intuition in my board. No, so I can't chain those together. Use Cunning Wish to get a Fluster to further protect what I'm doing. I think I am just going to dig for the show and tell, though. Like, I am realistically never winning the game without a show and tell. I guess we could Vantress Gargoyle our way to victory, but that doesn't seem like the most likely thing in the world. So, do I want to Force of Will that? No. Do I need to Force of Will that? Maybe. My tempo opponent gaining one card every turn for the rest of the game is not great. But my hand's pretty bad, and I think I need to just try to protect my combo if I can assemble it. It kind of felt like I was being put into a lose-lose situation there. Yeah, so this never gets to attack. Guess this is going to enter untapped. I guess I don't need to play this land immediately, though, and expose that to wasteland. So let's Gargoyle. And this is exactly one of the things that I was talking about. Like, Vantress Gargoyle just does not line up well when your opponent can exile cards from their graveyards in groups of 3. And this large body is actually not just larger than Psychic Frog. And if I throw Vantress Gargoyle in front of Psychic Frog to try to get a bunch of cards out of my opponent's hand, then my whole Shifting Woodland angle of my deck also just turns off. So my opponent is threatened enough by it to Force of Will. Do I now Force of Will back? I think given that my opponent is scared of this, I will Force of Will back. Oh wait, now I can't fucking block? Card fucking sucks. Sorry, Liam. In before I just like mill Omniscience next turn naturally. And I eat my own words. Oh shit, okay. Well, fight's over. They win. Let's top deck a show and tell now, huh? I don't think I am the biggest fan of them fighting over that card that hard. But, like, the rationale is that Psychic Frog will bail them out of expending that many resources. Shifting Woodland can now copy Vantress Gargoyle, but the Vantress Gargoyle can't block because I won't have enough cards. So, just all in all, rough. I guess I could also turn it into a bauble, right? I can copy a permanent. Yeah. That doesn't really feel like the best. I guess I can Shifting Woodland, turn it into Vantress Gargoyle, and then tap it. Not this turn because I just played it, but in the future that's a thing that I can do. So I could cycle Veil of Summer to just turn it into another card. That feels kind of bad. I am presumably going to need a protection spell if I draw Show and Tell to actually go off and win. I am taking 4-ish a turn. My opponent can change those numbers with Psychic Frog pretty quickly. So I think I get to wait exactly 1 turn. Force of Will not doing it for me. So I think I'll just pass the turn here. 3 cards in hand. Blocker not valid. So I am dead next turn. Can't cycle Veil of Summer as of right now. So at end step, turn into a critter. So I will have each player mill a card. I'll mill a Show and Tell. I'll cry. Build a Brainstorm. Oh shit, it is a Show and Tell. I guess I will start with the Veil of Summer here. Make my opponent respect that. Then attempt to Show and Tell in Atraxa. Have Force of Will as backup after the Atraxa puts something into my hand. There's Force of Negation, pitching Psychic Frog. So, opponent, I beat Daze. You need another counter. That's a Pyroblast. So 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. I am dead on board, unfortunately. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. Do I keep it? Almost certainly the answer is no, but the morbid curiosity says yes. Okay, Windswept Heath is a relatively fair land. Yup. Sure. So, let's Hedge Maze and Surveil. Yeah, that can go to Graveyard. Then I'll bobble, take a look at what you're drawing. Just a land, basic plains. So the issue here is that my opponent is pretty unlikely to put too many cards into their graveyard. Like, the blue cantrip decks will go through cards very quickly. A green... Oh, we are blue. JK. Unfortunately, the milling of Vantress Gargoyle will also be fueling Uro here. That's quite awkward. So, do I still want to Vantress Gargoyle? Or do I want to try to brainstorm those away and play a show and tell based game? I have the Omniscience already. I think let's try to play the show and tell game. None of those cards are show and tell. That is unfortunate. I'm going to redraw one of these and junk one of these. I can junk one with a Hedge Maze, redraw another with a Bobble, and then get fresh draws. I think I will junk a Vantress Gargoyle. Actually, I guess I could go past the other with Planar Genesis. Okay. Let's do that. Set an upkeep stop. Yeah. That would mean playing but not immediately cracking this Bobble. Or I can just intend on brainstorming it back later. Sure, let's do that. Okay, another land. And then I can have the Vantress Gargoyle in hand to pitch to Force of Will if things get a little bit weird. Sure. They don't have that trop that I saw anymore. Cards in hand for Uro. Slowly ticking back up. Or sorry, cards in graveyard for Uro. Sure. Don't love that. I'll save the Force of Will for a Nadu, though. Oh, fuck. It's the fucking Delighted Halfling. God damn it. I realized that a quarter of a second too late. Yes. Now my Force of Will does not have a lot of text. They've got Force of Will backing this up. This is not great for me. Stoneforge over there. Okay, cool. This is the last one. That's the second land, though. That means that my opponent can Stoneforge Mystic. And then get 2 more Nadu activations. This card's obnoxious. I could Force of Will. I just don't answer things once they're in play, unfortunately. This threatens to Cauldron me. If it's even in the deck. It probably is. I think I am going to Force of Will this. Obviously the correct Force of Will target was just the Shuko at the beginning of the turn. That's not great. So I need to find a show and tell. None of those cards are show and tell. I'll put back 1, 2, play a land. I'll just fire this off. If I don't, put a card from among them into my hand. So I'll say no. I'll pick up show and tell. So I'll have show and tell backed by a Force of Will if I don't die. I'm just going to take my hands off the mouse. Not going to Force of Will anything this turn. My opponent gets to do what my opponent gets to do. And we'll see if I'm dead. There's a second Force of Will. That's not great. There's a Teferi. That's also a disaster. Okay, I'm just going to give you an update at end of turn. Okay, it seems like my opponent has drawn a handful of cards here. The most notable is the Nomad's Encore, which means that my opponent can now just go and activate this stuff on my turn. Like, I know they have multiple Force of Wills here. I can't Force of Will back. So the game's over. I'm going to cast a show and tell. I'm going to let it get countered, and then we're going to move to the next game. So yeah, and I cannot counter back. And my opponent can also get 8 more Nadu activations in this turn cycle. We're never beating this. Yep, so I was just narrating lines and forgot about Delighted Halfling. So that loss is on me. We buy a decent amount of time to continue that game if I counter the Shugo. I guess I will play Veil of Summers here over Baubles. Okay, we have a show and tell and a piece of protection. I just need to find the big monster to put in. Is Omniscience good enough? I think Omniscience is good enough. I think that gives me the ability to make the two copies of Lorien Revealed that I have access to much stronger. That's happening. I can planar Genesis and put a land into play. Yeah, perfectly happy putting a Hedge Maze into play immediately. Am I fine with Ancient Tomb? It's fine. I'm just going to put that into my graveyard, though. I'm going to try to do better than that. Ponder's fine. As of right now, this is what I'm pitching to Force of Will. This is what I am casting after Show and Tell. Take a little love tap here. That's no big deal. Brainstorm's okay. Show and Tell and my opponent puts in Nadu is, I guess, kind of awkward, but, you know, we'll live. Blusterstorm is the sort of counterspell that I do not want to see here. Brainstorm is fine. Come on, Show and Tell. That is a Force of Negation. I Force of Will, pitching the Vantress Gargoyle, and then hope that my stuff resolves. Alright, there's Omniscience. Okay, it's just a land from my opponent. So let's draw 3 immediately. You can Brainstorm in response, that's fine. Are we resolving? Force of Vigor, pitching Nadu. That's annoying. I'll Brainstorm in response. Cunning Wish. You an instant? You are an instant. So I could Cunning Wish in response with an Intuition on top of my library. What does Sublime Epiphany do? There's a lot of words on this. So I can counter target spell. Yeah, let's just Cunning Wish for Sublime Epiphany and assume that that gets me to an okay spot. Oh, I can also just Cunning Wish for Firemind's Foresight in response and, like, do stuff that way. Yeah. So, Cunning Wish in response. Yes. Firemind's Foresight. Cast Firemind's Foresight. Get a Cunning Wish. Get a Planar Genesis. Get another Brainstorm. Cast Planar Genesis. I will not put the land into play. I will take Planar Genesis. I will take Planar Genesis. That was weird. Cast this. No. Not the best. Reveal 1 for a Veil of Summer. That can go to graveyard. Cunning Wish. Yes. Sublime Epiphany. Cast. Counter target spell. Bounce target permanent. Draw a card. Counter target spell. Bounce target permanent. Target player draws a card. There's an Intuition. We are good from here. So Intuition. Target you. I will pick a track. Yeah, okay. We did the thing. I don't think I'm faster than my opponent's deck on average. So turn 1, Surveil. Turn 2, Impulse or Planar Genesis. This is kind of a perfectly average looking hand that I don't think I should mulligan. I can slam the Emergency Break with a Force of Will. My opponent mulliganed once. And did not just jam Delighted Halfling on turn 1, so my Force of Will is still actively good. That's nice for me. So let's Surveil here. I have 3 lands already. I'm not the most interested in that. I need to find Show and Tell and Big Thing to do with it. I want to get some selection of their own. Sure. So do I counter something like a Stoneforge Mystic that comes down right here? That's Delighted Halfling, which is annoying. I think it's happening. Yeah. I think I would like to use my Force of Will defensively. Maybe with the Veil of Summer in hand, I should just counter that. The fact that that one can't be countered is some shit. Alright. So, I just don't get rid of this, basically, ever. That's not great. You want to say no and get a planar Genesis. All right. Now I can still Veil of Summer at the beginning of my turn. Okay. Opponent does not have more mana. Intuition is good. But I would like to get one of the two sides of my combo in hand first before I do that. No. So yeah, I will put the land into play. Do this. I can just fetch and surveil. Never going to use Lorien Revealed as a land. Yeah, let's just fetch and surveil. Like I always know what I am looking for. Ponder is okay. I think I will keep that. Delighted Halfling and Teferi backing up. Nadu combo is rough. Alright, so this could be Shuko or Kaldra. Both are good here. It is Shuko. So I will potentially just die to combo as of next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see what we can make of this turn, huh? Yes! Let's draw the show and tell immediately. I will impulse. I'll pick up the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess I want show and tell plus Veil of Summer. I already have that. If I were to draw another copy of Veil of Summer, I could not currently cast that. I have two different ways to win the game with Omniscience already, both of which are instants. I think I just island cycle this, turn this into another land so that I have the edge case Veil of Summer stuff ready to go. But I do just expect to die this turn. Either literally or effectively. There's Teferi. There's Shuko. Alright, there's Nadu. This is 8 Nadu activations. I'll just give you the update when it's done. Okay, my opponent notably has a Force of Vigor in hand. They got a couple extra bodies into play. I'm getting attacked for 2. My opponent will discard a handful of cards. And hopefully what I have is good enough. Okay, that's the stuff that's going there. That is a very reasonable draw. So because of Teferi, we start with Veil of Summer. This gets a counterspell if my opponent has one. They do. So now, do they have a second one? Can't fight back with Force of Will, due to Teferi. They unfortunately do. Again, can't use that. So I'm taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Probably realistically on a 2-turn clock, and my opponent can do the whole Nadu thing again, so I'll give you an update at end of turn. A Kaldra has now hit play. Am I dead? 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13. Not dead yet. My opponent has 3 counterspells, though. This might be the point where I just go like, okay, that's good enough. Yeah, let's say this is the point where I'm not realistically beating that, and let's value my time. Okay, I have kept my opening hand here. My opponent has revealed Devourer of Destiny, so we are playing against probably a larger Eldrazi deck of some kind. So, order of operations here probably doesn't matter too much. I want to look at my own card here. It's an Ancient Tomb. I would like to draw that card. And I will crack the other one immediately, although it's, a little awkward. So I just have turn 2, Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell, Omniscience, Emrakul. Feels good. And we don't. Okay, so it is an Eldrazi deck with colored mana. We're actually probably a little closer to the aggro side than I thought we might be. Shifting Woodland probably never doing anything in this matchup, both because it is slow and because my opponent can cast Sowing Mycospawn to just get untapped Wasteland at will. So in the hypothetical world where my opponent puts in a Thought-Knot Seer off Show and Tell, that's not a problem. I just do Cunning Wish stuff in response. And I think one of the words on the Sublime Epiphany is like a Stifle effect. It is a Mox Diamond. So we've got some mana acceleration. Ancient Tomb. Glaring Fleshraker, a great Magic the Gathering card. Probably not enough to stop the crimes that I am about to do, but nevertheless, a great Magic card. Let's get some selection. I don't need another Ancient Tomb. So, cast Show and Tell. Yeah. Put in Omniscience. There is a Thought-Knot Seer. In response, cast Cunning Wish. Yes. Let's check. Yeah. Yeah, so we get Firemind's Foresight, get another Cunning Wish, 2 other cards, end up with Sublime Epiphany, counter target activated or triggered ability. We're good to go. So this is probably a sideboard 0 cards matchup from the look of things, and we hope to just show and tell. Like, that singular card is just so important. So I need to use cantrips to both find show and tell and land. This is a perfectly fine hand. I think I keep it. Like, I would vastly prefer to just have the show and tell in hand already, as that card is not replaceable at all. We could run into some awkwardness with Cavernous Souls at some point, but hopefully we don't. Bobble is cool. I think I'm going to do that on myself, just kind of take a look at what I'm drawing. I have a Ponder on top of my library. That's kind of whatever. I think I am just going to go ahead and fetch, grab a basic, cast a Ponder. None of those cards are show and tell. Lorien Revealed can be a land in a pinch. I think I will just shuffle that. End up with a Ponder anyway after shuffling one away. Grab my Bobble draw. Okay. Did you keep a one-lander? You kept a one-lander. The London Mulligan is the strongest thing in the game of Magic. Please use it. Okay, I technically have blue mana because I can tap Ancient Tomb to cycle Lorien Revealed, but I don't think this hand is actually good. So I think I am just going to mulligan it. Ah. And the player draw. I'm on the play. Oh, geez. How likely am I to hit a blue source? Oh no. That's bad. So I have 12 hits in 53 cards and 2 looks. So about 40% of the time I will hit in 2 looks, and 54% of the time I'll hit in 3 looks. That's not great. Is this hand good enough that I gamble that? Show and tell is the least replaceable thing. I have a Force of Will to buy time. I don't think I'm going to gamble that. I'll take 5. It is not a good 5-card hand, but at this point we're keeping it. Hard for me to go down further for Force of Will. And I already have Cunning Wish to win with Omniscience, so I don't need Atraxa. So my plan is end of turn Hedge Maze to Surveil and try to make something happen here. And we're playing against an opposing blue deck, which is not great after double mulliganing and having to get rid of a Force of Will. But this is where we're at. Hey, very happy with that draw. So I'm going to go ahead and just Island Cycle this Lorien Revealed. And we'll get another Hedge Maze. Second verse, same as the first. Shifting Woodland, I am not interested in that. Yeah, so this is round 4. We have succeeded in activating a Shifting Woodland to mill 1 card. My opponent surveils and likes their card. Forest. Oh, fuck. Alright. We're dead. GG's, well played. We're gonna probably get beseeched here. Dark Ritual, Ball. Oh, it's Adnaz. Sure. Oh, my opponent is a Vexing Bobble build of Storm. You know, there's some tension there with your free spells. Oh, wow, Past in Flames. Sure. Does this win yet? Lotus Petal, Cabal Ritual, 5 black. The LEDs do something with Burning Wish? Duress, sure. Or is there already just like a Tendrils in hand and this is all moot? Oh, I guess there's just flashback Past in Flames line. Oh, Infernal Tutor just makes it easy, sure. Yeah, so that's 8 mana. That's just Tendrils. Hey, there we go. So we got turn 2'd when we had a turn 3. I'm very happy to, have the potential to turn 3 after a double mulligan. So let's get some interaction in here. I think I just board all my counter spells. Surgical is a thing. Don't know that it's strong enough here. It's okay. So do I try to keep this to 4-turn clock my opponent? Or do I just, like bam, bam, bam? I think that's probably the approach here. My opponent's deck is just faster than mine. Okay. I've got a Force of Will. That's worth something. I have 2 selection spells. I am looking for a Show and Tell. It's a little awkward if I use the Lorien Revealed for land cycling, but I think I don't want to take a billion damage off this Ancient Tomb, so I will. I'll just get another Trop here. Cunning Wish. Sure, so now I literally just need the Show and Tell. No end of turn use of mana from my opponent. And it seems like we are playing a patient game, which scares me. Take another Force of Will to help with not losing. I kind of just want to put Misty Rainforest into play, and then potentially be able to impulse into Show and Tell? Or should I just put Island into play? This can represent a hedge maze. Put Island into play. Brainstorm. I will just Brainstorm, that's fine. I don't need Ancient Tomb. I don't think I'm going to take either Ancient Tomb. I think I will Hedge Maze, get rid of one of those 2 immediately. And then pass the turn with Impulse available to dig for Show and Tell, or Impulse available to dig for a second counterspell should I need that. Opponent likes their card, which is scary. We are just kind of playing draw go here. I will just keep selecting for a better and better hand. Veil of Summer is not bad. I'll take that. Ancient Tomb's not great. I'm definitely feeling not having access to an Intuition in the sideboard to wish for, because I could end of turn Cunning Wish for Intuition, Intuition for triple Show and Tell, and go. We'll pass the turn. I can hardcast this Force of Will. I've got Veil of Summer backing it up as well. Are you doing anything yet? Nope. So I don't know that I want to just immediately Cunning Wish. I think I'm chilling. Hey, there we go. I've got 2 pieces of backup here. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think I have to tap Ancient Tomb either. Cast Show and Tell. Oh, it just worked. Put in Omniscience. That's cute. That's very cute. I will cast this paying mana cost so that my spells can't be countered. Both Seiju. Oh, that is frustrating. Let's pick up Hedge Maze. New Veil of Summer. I guess that's good if I don't immediately die. But I do just need to find a new Show and Tell to win. I'm just going to junk that. Veil of Summer doesn't even cantrip. Well, that's a play pattern I'm not used to having to play around. Second Vexing Bauble. Opponent will get rid of one of those. Omniscience. I'm at 7 mana. I can hardcast a Force of Will to counter something my opponent does. I can get a Force of Vigor off Cunning Wish to get rid of a Bauble. That's annoying. Cunning Wish does not currently have access to another counter spell. Cunning Wish can give me Force of Vigor, Return to Nature. That's some degree of interaction. I think I'm just going to let that resolve and hope that the weak disruption of Cunning Wish can do something. Okay. So their spell can't be countered, so they get through their own Vexing Bauble, which is sort of a cute interaction. Another Veil. A Cabal Ritual. I can't take them off Threshold. This is just 1 card, right? What if I Surgical, though? Surgical, target Veil of Summer? That brings them down to 6. They get 3 mana for that instead of 5 mana. Is that relevant? Maybe. Oh no. It would have to be Return to Nature, because I can't Surgical Extraction without paying mana. Right? I think that's how that works. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to let that go on then. Sure. So what is this last card? It is an Infernal Tutor. I think that's going to get me, unless they get like Past in Flames here. Storm 7? I think they have enough mana to just Infernal Tutor chain, right? Oh, it's Adnaz. Sure. No, they were just short. Okay. I mean, Adnaz probably wins from here the vast majority of the time. Oh yeah, there's a Tendrils. So as soon as my opponent hits one free spell, I'm dead. Yeah. So that is now deterministic. It's just Lotus Petal for Storm 9, Tendrils for lethal. And my counterspells don't work. GG's. Alright, final round. I guess we're keeping. I'm not excited about it, but I guess we're keeping. We're playing against Cloudpost. So hopefully we have a few turns to just kind of do the thing. I think I am going to bobble myself and help decide whether I am like pondering or hedge mazing, and Atraxa. So duty requires that I put that into my graveyard. We gotta give fucking Shifting Woodland a chance. A chance to become an Atraxa. Everyone calm down. We still need another green mana. Fucking Vexing Bauble, man. Alright, Vantress Gargoyle. You're up, bruh. How am I going to get 7 cards into my opponent's graveyard, though? I think I'm just supposed to Planar Genesis. Huh, weird. Sure. Immediately cycle 1, that's fine. I will go ahead and Planar Genesis. So this is land 3. I play Shifting Woodland as my land for turn. It's an Atraxa soonish. Take drop. So this is always my land for turn, unless things get a little weird. Artifact, creature, instant, sorcery. So this is type 4. Oh shit, it is show and tell. I mean, yeah. The Omniscience is not doing me a lot of good while the Vexing Bauble is there. But I think that is fine. I can also just Cunning Wish for an Artifact Destruction spell, blow up Vexing Bauble, or 2 mana. Cast Show and Tell Omniscience into something. I've got options. Yeah, no, that's horrifying. Thanks, I hate it. Come on. You hate fun? Sunlith? Why can't I just Atraxa? Huh? Oh, no gas. I guess I could also Cunning Wish for Veil of Summer? I'm casting Cunning Wish now. That's for sure. I could just put Sublime Epiphany into my hand as a counterspell that I can pay for. I think I like that. This is just 6 mana. I can hold up Sublime Epiphany past the turn. Sort of get a Time Walk effect. My next draw isn't great, though. Yeah. Finding Caracas. Sure. I'm about to draw a card that I am not the biggest fan of. I think that's fine. I'll just hedge maze and select my draws. Planar Genesis is fine. I'll say that's above average. And pass the turn. Alright, lots of mana over there. I gotta respond to that one. So cast this. I will counter target spell. I'll bounce target permanent. And I will draw a card. Counter target spell. Bounce target permanent. I draw a card. It is very possible that this is a bait spell and that there is a better spell coming. Opponent just lets the bauble get bounced. They can replay it to shut off a Force of Will effect. And then play another relevant spell. Or not. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of 10. Let's Planar Genesis. Emrakul. I will not put a land into play tapped. I will grab an Emrakul. Not perfect. There's problems with it. But it can just give me an extra turn. Vantress Gargoyle is online. Let's fetch. Don't have a hedge maze. Thought I did. I guess they're both right there. I can show and tell Omniscience, Vantress Gargoyle, take an extra turn with Emrakul. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I am just going to play out a Vantress Gargoyle past the turn. Or no, it's 7 or more, not 4 or more. The opponent is almost there. Turn occurs. So I imagine this first one is in Snaring Bridge. I guess it could be Lattice. This can't attack because it's a bad creature. Yeah. Oh, I get Bosejude. Sure. I'll get a land. None of these tap for mana. Yeah, no, that does it. We just got soloed by Vexing Bauble. My opponent had 2 of them. So I guess I need Veil of Summer to beat Vexing Bauble. Jeez, that's awkward. I'm going to stop pretending that Shifting Woodland is a reasonable thing to do. I think I'm going to go bam, bam. I think I'm just going to board this in. Can still Sublime Epiphany or Force of Vigor with Cunning Wish. This hand can cast 0 spells. This hand has a Show and Tell. It has a Force of Will. Force of Will is actually pretty bad. I'm going to keep it, and one of these 2 cards goes back. Both suck. I think Force of Will's worse. Alright, I'll pass turn. Loud Post, great thing to start with. I think I'm going to Surveil land here. That is an okay card, given that my next draw is Brainstorm. Or sorry, that I have Brainstorm in hand. I can already shuffle with Lorien Revealed, though. I'm going to get a little greedy and try to go deeper. Planar Genesis. Let's just make land drop and pass, actually. Because the value of my Veil of Summer can change a lot if my opponent just drops a Vexing Bauble this turn. Sure. 3 mana available. 4 mana available. This is really annoying. This is an on-cast trigger, so my opponent can just get a wasteland my hedge maze. Yeah. So I will respond by brainstorming. Turn to nature does not do anything. Veil of Summer is not currently good. I'm going to get rid of it and hope that I don't get punished by that decision. I will Island Cycle, Lorien Revealed. I will get the basic. There's Show and Tell Omniscience. I can't do it this turn. I'll hold up Planar Genesis and pass, and hopefully my opponent does not now drop Vexing Bauble now that I have Show and Tell plus Omniscience. That would be a nuisance. I'll respond to that. Okay, there is Force of Will. So do I Force of Will, pitch Ponder, or do I just let the One Ring happen and then attempt to Planar Genesis afterwards? I think I let it happen in Planar Genesis, and putting Vexing Bauble in off Show and Tell is some shit. Do I reveal this card? No. All right, I take Planar Genesis. All right, One Ring happens. Sure. I take 3 combat damage. All right, please don't put in Vexing Bauble, I guess. Cast Show and Tell. Now, there are other monstrous Eldrazi that just could come in here, so, like, keep that in mind. Put in Omniscience. Okay. So, what, my opponent names Emrakul, I imagine? And I try to do something else. It's honestly just funny, right? I will shuffle. I hit a land. That's very bad. Okay, Atraxa is great. Cunning Wish is great. Cunning Wish is better. Cunning Wish gets me to Atraxa plus some other things. So we Cunning Wish or Firemind's Foresight. I Firemind's Foresight. I will get a new Cunning Wish. I will get a Return to Nature. And I will get a Brainstorm. I will Cunning Wish for free. Yes. I will get Shared Summons. I will cast Shared Summons. I will get Emrakul and Atraxa. I will return to nature, destroy target artifact on Disruptor Flute. I will cast Atraxa. I'll put a bunch of stuff into my hand. Get Atraxa, get Force of Will, get Ponder, get Bobble. Done. I will cast an Emrakul. I get an extra turn, which is cool. Yeah. So what would happen here is that I would attack, I would annihilate all of my opponent's permanents. I would not deal them any combat damage, but I would kill them the following turn. This is turn 2 Show and Tell for Atraxa. Seems solid. Vexing Bobble is great against Omniscience specifically, and less good against some of the stuff that I have going on in this specific hand. I don't need that, even if I get Wastelanded. That's fine. That's annoying. That names Show and Tell and turns Show and Tell into a 5-mana card. Yep. Well, I think I Ancient Tomb so that I can Cunning Wish this turn. And my opponent can have the choice of which one of these they want to wasteland. Planar Nexus is the scariest card this turn. Sure. That's kind of a sweet interaction. Copy your opponent's Surveil lands. And there goes a Bog. Candelabra's fine. Did not get Wastelanded, though. I guess my opponent could untap the Wasteland and Wasteland me. Alright, so Cunning Wish in response. Yes. Yes. Since I boarded in the 2-mana one, this is Force of Vigor. I do have Veil of Summer if I want to force it through. But that requires pitching the Atraxa, which is a little awkward. Is 3 more? Sorry, Show and Tell costs 6. Okay. I mean, Show and Tell, Omniscience into Cunning Wish is a theoretical win, right? I guess I don't need the Atraxa. Am I fine using 3 cards to answer 2 cards? Opponent does not have land. I could just wait it out. It just gets like weird if there's another Disruptor Flute or equivalent. Maybe I just wait to try to draw another mana. Should not have fetched then if that was my plan. Awkward. I guess that's a bad plan, right? Because if I draw another land, I just get to Show and Tell for 6 mana anyway. Yeah, maybe I should have just gone for it. Yeah, let's just do it. So Force of Vigor, bam, bam. Pitch the Atraxa. My spell can't be countered. I will crack the Bobble. Cracking the Bobble, though, means that they can't play another Disruptor Flute. So I will just get to do my Show and Tell thing and hopefully just win the game. So, bam, 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 cast. This is my opponent's moment. If they can blow up the Omniscience right here, they're okay. So a Force of Vigor, for example, would do it. Yeah. Yeah, that's annoying. There's another Vexing Bobble coming too. Sure. Yes. I think at this point I'm not dead, but my spirit's broken. I think I'm just gonna toss in the towel. This deck was not good. Okay, so let's debrief this a little bit. Shifting Woodland is a card that I don't believe the juice is worth the squeeze in terms of brewing around it, at least not in this shell. You know, you put this as a singleton copy that you can tutor up in your deck with, you know, Knight of the Reliquary or Crop Rotation or something, and I think that's perfectly cool. But I think there were only downsides of putting Shifting Woodland into my deck. So Shifting Woodland was something that did not cast my cantrips. It was something that sometimes enters the battlefield tapped, depending on my exact configuration. It is something that, to make it good, I had to put other unplayable cards into my deck list, and to make it good might be a little bit generous. And it also requires me to have Delirium in a deck that does not traditionally produce Delirium, right? Like, you are going to do instant sorceries and lands in your graveyard, and that is it in a traditional game. So that also funnels you into wanting to put an additional card type into your deck that shouldn't be there. So we were playing blue-green show and tell with our hands behind our backs today. And given that Vantress Gargoyle lines up poorly against Psychic Frog, which I believe is the second most played creature in the format right now, and given that, like, Omniscience is very poor against a field of Vexing Bubbles as well, it seems like this entire deck concept is really just not going to work. And I was very skeptical of it from the get-go, and other than a single Vantress Gargoyle activation with a Shifting Woodland in 5 rounds, we were fully unable to activate this for profit. So I do not think that this is a viable home for Shifting Woodland. So rip Shift Tell. You were an interesting idea, but maybe not a good idea. So Liam, I think you've got to go back to the drawing board on this one and find another way to try and break Shifting Woodland. You know, you can go into another color if you really want to make Shifting Woodland good. You can start getting your Entombs, your Buried Alives, those sorts of cards. But at that point, you know, why are we not just Grief Reanimating like 40% of the format or whatever? All right, folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need cards, check out toamagic.com, promo code ThrabenU to let them know that I sent you. And I am going to go play some casual EDH webcam games with some friends. See ya.